The room, with its curtains drawn for half a month, was so cold and damp it jolted me awake. My adoptive mother put her arm around my shoulders affectionately. "Lily honey, still upset? I know Chloe's passing hit you hard, but life has to go on." Seeing me staring at our family photo, she smiled and said, "Such a grateful child." My adoptive brother, Chris, carefully brought out a large gift box. "Don't look so down. Mom and Dad got you a present." I spoke in a raspy voice. "Thank you." In the center of the box lay a doll. It had curly hair with 2 sapphire barrettes, a delicate face, and was beautifully dressed. They had even bought a separate large bag of various accessories and clothes for it. But the longer I looked into its shiny glass eyes, the creepier it felt. My adoptive mother gently stroked the doll's hair, her face full of affection. "Isn't this doll beautiful? From now on, keep it by your side. Like your sister is always with you, okay? Let's call her baby from now on." As she spoke, she tried to place the doll in my arms. My pupils constricted. I instinctively recoiled, my palms slightly sweaty. My adoptive parents looked hurt. "Lily, are you upset we didn't take you with us? You promised Chloe you'd stay home and spend 49 days copying scriptures in her memory after the 7th day of her passing. So we didn't want to interrupt your heartfelt gesture." I quickly waved my hands. "No, I'm not blaming you, Mom. This was the first time they had ever given me anything." Chris's smile faltered. "Then what's wrong? Doesn't Lily like the gift? Mom and Dad went abroad and had this custom made for you because they were worried you'd be sad for too long. Chloe said all girls like these things." I lowered my head and wiped my eyes, looking at them gratefully. "No, I love it. It's as beautiful as my sister was." I was just thinking about my sister. The moment I took the doll, I met those dark, gloomy eyes again. It felt like it was staring intently at me. The 3 of them looked so gentle, a sight I'd never seen before. Or rather, it was a tenderness that had never been directed at me, because that kind of affection was reserved only for Chloe. Chloe was the little princess everyone envied. When people talked about the Henry family, the first thing that came to mind wasn't their corporate empire, but their precious daughter. Since her death, my adoptive parents seemed to genuinely treat me like their biological daughter, caring about my feelings, understanding my preferences. They were willing to give me the love and security I lacked. So, in my past life, I was moved like a fool. I did whatever they said, hoping things would stay that way. In reality, I overlooked how much they used to dislike me, often treating me like I was invisible. Sometimes, it could even be said that Chris hated me, cursing at me, looking down on me, calling me greedy and detestable. All because back then Chloe had given me a new piece of her jewelry. He especially disliked my face, often saying that even if I bore some resemblance to Chloe, I wasn't worth a single strand of his sister's hair. But did they dislike my face? Really just because I looked like Chloe? They adopted me only because Chloe got seriously ill, diagnosed with bone cancer, to fulfill her wish for a younger sister. And I was the one she liked the most. Under the guise of proper upbringing, my adoptive parents forbade me from running, from jumping, from eating too much. I had to stay by Chloe's side and keep her happy. Only Chloe was genuinely good to me, truly treating me like family. Slowly, I began to depend on Chloe, remembering her kindness, agreeing to her requests. My memories resurfaced. I looked at my adoptive mother. She patted my hand. "As long as you like it." Mom had a small wooden bed custom made for her, placed by your bedside. "I've already had someone move it up." They relaxed, a satisfied smile on their faces. "There are other gifts too. We'll help you decorate your new room later." That new room I had already been living in for half a month. My heart suddenly sank. Then I coughed heavily a few times. "Mom, I think I have a cold. Can we open the window for some air?" My adoptive mother's voice rose slightly. "You're sick?" She immediately pulled my arm away and took the doll back. I looked at her, puzzled. Her eyes darted away for a moment. "Of course you can. Lily dear. For the next few days, you should stay in your old room. I'll keep baby with me for now. Otherwise, it might catch your germs." Mrs. Molly, take a few people to open the windows and give the room a good cleaning and disinfecting. My adoptive father, Mr. Henry, called out to Chris, who was about to go upstairs. Chris, get the doctor over here later. Dad, there's no need. It's just a little cold. I'll be fine after taking some medicine for a couple of days. Right now, my mind was racing, trying to come up with a plan. Once I moved into that prepared room, it would be hard to get out. In my previous life, I placed the doll on that willow wood bed every night. The next morning when I woke up, it would have inexplicably moved. I didn't pay attention back then, thinking my adoptive mother came to check on me at night, because I slept very soundly and was hard to wake. Later, I became increasingly lethargic, my complexion growing paler. I thought I was sick and wanted my parents to take me to the hospital, but they just said I needed to rest and recuperate, hiring a caregiver to placate me. I lay in bed all day, unaware that my soul was slowly being stripped away, until I started sleeping for longer and longer periods. One day, I woke up to find I couldn't move at all, nor could I speak. Suddenly, a pair of hands, so pale you could see the veins, squeezed me tightly. A familiar face showed a sinister smile. She said it finally worked. She was smiling at me. Who was in my body? And where was I trapped now? The moment I saw my adoptive parents, I wanted to scream in terror, to beg them to save me. I was suffocating, but their faces were indifferent as they looked at me. Since it's useless now, just get rid of this thing quickly. Don't want it bringing bad luck. My adoptive mother personally handed me a pair of scissors. I took them, my face contorted with rage. Why should I endure the torment of illness? Aching so much I can't sleep all night, while you're happy as a fool all day. I wish I had a healthy body. Do you know that? She tore out my hair with her bare hands, then used the scissors to cut off my limbs. Pain spread through my body, but I still couldn't make a sound. Chloe, burn it. After it's burned, it won't have any resentment. Its soul will completely disappear. Only then did I realize that the person in my body was Chloe, the one who had always been kindest to me. In an instant, I understood everything. The person who promised I would be her favorite sister had tricked me into coming back to be her scapegoat. After spending a whole night drawing up plans in my room, on the fourth day, I took the thick stack of copied scriptures and went out. I bought red cloth and a high-quality box to put them in. I went to a temple and had the two people following me bury it in front of Chloe's tombstone. During this time, I picked up the items I had pre-ordered a couple of days ago and hid them secretly. When I got home, my adoptive mother greeted me, holding the doll. She took my hand, her voice gentle. Lily, you truly are Mom and Dad's treasure. Come on, Mom will take you to see. The curtains in the room were wide open, and the floor-to-ceiling windows filled the room with light, but the sunlight never seemed to reach inside. On the separate dark brown willow wood bed for the doll, there were expensive silk beddings. That bed wasn't small. An adult could lie on it. In the center was a dazzling crystal chandelier. 2 new table lamps had also been placed on the bedside table, covered by flower bud-shaped lampshades. At the foot of the bed, 2 round floor lamps stood against the wall. If you ignored the carpet, the murals, and the various decorative dolls and vases, and only looked at the lights, their abstract arrangement seemed to form a sitting person. My bed and the doll's bed were in the middle, her bed placed horizontally, directly facing the head of my bed. In my previous life, I was captivated by these gorgeous and beautiful things, never noticing the unusual details. Now there was a hint of vigilance in my eyes. Lily, these lights are all very dim. Don't worry about wasting electricity. You can leave them on every night when you sleep. Chloe said, girls like this kind of cute and cozy room, and some kind of mood lighting. Mom doesn't understand these things either. See if there's anything else you want to add. Thank you, Mom. This is great. No need to add anything else. The bedside table was filled with expensive aromatherapy diffusers, a faint orange-yellow color. She took out a bottle and held it in front of me. I know Lily hasn't been sleeping well lately. I specially bought you some sleep-inducing incense. My adoptive mother sniffed it and said with a smile, it has a slight osmanthus fragrance. Light a bottle every night. Once you finish these, you'll be able to sleep soundly for a long time. I suppressed the nausea rising in my chest and pretended to be very surprised and happy. Mom, you're so thoughtful. My adoptive mother stroked the doll's smooth hair, placed it on the bed, and even tucked it in. Let her start accompanying you tonight. Mom will bring new clothes and accessories tomorrow to change her into. I don't understand, Mom. Does the doll need to change clothes every day? Maybe we can change them less often, so it's not too much trouble for you. Her tone was faint, with an indefinable undertone. They need to be changed and washed every 2 days. After all, you'll be playing with her and holding her every day. It wouldn't be good if she got dirty. I sneered inwardly. She thinks I'm dirty, doesn't she? After she left, I locked the door and sat on the bed, sighing. My voice, not too loud, not too soft, began to mumble. But this doll is really ugly. It looks so annoying. The next second, out of the corner of my eye, I saw its black eyeball twitch slightly. I smirked unfazed. Ugly thing, I muttered under my breath, flipping the doll over and covering it with a pillow. I wasn't sure yet if the trapped Chloe could communicate with my adoptive parents in some way, so I had to test the waters slowly. Then I put on a mask and gloves, tiptoed to the bathroom with my adoptive mother's small bottle of incense. I used scalding hot water, heating the contents through the bottle until they melted. Then I flushed everything, including the fine paper shreds at the bottom of the bottle, down the toilet. After doing all this, I quickly took out the incense I had bought and put it in the original spot, adding a drop of diluted osmanthus essential oil. The whole time, my heart was pounding so fast it felt like it would jump out of my chest, terrified that something would go wrong, and they would discover any trace of what I'd done. This incense looked very similar to the previous bottle. As long as they didn't inspect it closely, they probably wouldn't find out. Money makes the world go round. These fakes cost me nearly $100,000. Thankfully, Chloe had transferred a lot of money to me before to gain my trust. The bottle I bought was genuine plant-based incense with real calming effects. But the one my adoptive mother gave me was made from cremated ashes from a saltpeter fire, mixed with some unknown corpse oil, and enchanted with sinister, eerie paper talismans. It was a death summons designed to make someone quickly fall into a deep coma and their soul leave their body. At night, I viciously stabbed the doll's head a few times with an embroidery needle, turned it back over to its original position, then slowly got into bed. Just like in my previous life, my adoptive mother indeed came to tuck me in before I slept, turning on those dim, eerie table lamps and floor lamps. Then she picked up the bottle of incense, lit it skillfully, and placed it on the bedside table. Watching the pale yellow smoke rise, a satisfied smile appeared on her face. She gently told me to sleep early. After she left, I didn't lie down immediately. Instead, I took out a few workbooks and pretended to do homework, then slumped over the desk, pretending to be asleep all night. Only when it was almost dawn did I quietly crawl back into bed, close my eyes, and sleep until past 11 o'clock. Only then did my adoptive mother come to wake me. She calmly took the doll away, saying she was going to pick out clothes for it. The anxiety I felt eased a little. Downstairs, Chris looked at my still somewhat tired face and smiled. "Lily, did you sleep well last night?" "Very well. I slept soundly. I just still feel like I haven't had enough sleep." I scratched my head sheepishly. He exchanged a look with my adoptive father, and their smiles deepened. My adoptive mother's attitude towards me today was noticeably warmer. I held the doll, now in new clothes, and also acted very happy. My mood calmed down. It seemed Chloe was, for now, as I had predicted, trapped in the doll, unable to move or speak. That night, I repeated the previous day's actions, secretly replacing that deadly incense. This time, I didn't slump over the desk, but actually lay in bed and slept comfortably. In the middle of the night, I suddenly felt a faint, cold chill coming from the small willowwood bed beside me. The lights in the room, which had been on constantly, dimmed by several degrees in an instant. I shivered involuntarily. Tap, tap, tap. An extremely faint sound, like small leather shoes on the floor, began. Tap, 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 tap. The sound was stiff, step by step, seeming to approach my bedside. After a while, a cool breeze blew over. My exposed arms and neck felt an icy itch, as if someone's hair had fallen on me. A dark shadow silently loomed above me, carrying a corpse-like cold aura, slowly pressing down on me, about to fall. Suddenly, I snapped my eyes open. In the dim light, a pair of dark, hollow, yet infinitely sinister eyes met mine. My gaze shifted down. Its mouth split into a grotesque grin, and two blood-red, gleaming fangs emerged from its mouth. Those fangs were aimed straight at my neck. If bitten, my soul would undoubtedly suffer immense damage. It seemed a bit surprised, not expecting me to wake up suddenly. But then that surprise turned into an even more ferocious and greedy glint. It quickened its pace, lunging at me. I unconsciously tightened my grip on the object hidden under my blanket. Then my heart lurched. Oh no, because I suddenly realized I was completely stiff, unable to move. A bone-chilling cold shot from the soles of my feet to the top of my head. Cold sweat poured down my forehead. I watched helplessly as its teeth were about to pierce my skin, getting closer and closer. At that critical moment, I mustered all my strength, slashing my palm with the ritual tool in my hand. It was so close. The fangs almost touched my skin. I jerked up my bleeding left hand and grabbed the doll. The blood from my palm stained its body. With a soft sizzling sound, the doll let out a silent, sharp laugh, its body struggling violently. I grinned, my bloodied hand tightly gripping its faintly struggling body. Gotcha, my dear cousin. The doll's glass pupils instantly showed clear terror. Immediately after, a steel needle I had prepared earlier pierced the top of its head. As the needle went in, it instantly stopped moving. I quickly got out of bed and used a stool to pin it to the floor. After all, physical damage was only temporary. As long as it was in this room full of enchantments, it would definitely wake up. From the bottom of my closet, I took out a thicker steel needle and the bag of fake bones. I took a deep breath and climbed onto the willow-wood bed meant for the doll. This bed was one of the keys to the array. Using the steel needle, I painstakingly scraped away the extremely inconspicuous black runic symbols carved into the headboard and footboard. The moment the runes were destroyed, I felt the surrounding sinister aura seem to weaken somewhat. Only then did I dare to put on gloves and remove the few small bones hidden in the secret compartment under the willow-wood bed slats. These were probably Chloe's real skeletal remains. I quickly replaced them with the fake bones I had prepared and put them back in their original place. Then I used the same method to deal with the two floor lamps at the foot of the bed. I also copied the original black symbols, but deliberately made them somewhat broken and incomplete, unable to form a complete talisman. I repeatedly tested the switches several times, ensuring the lights could still turn on normally, then stuffed everything into a black bag and placed it behind the curtain. By the time I finished all this, I was already drenched in cold sweat. My left palm throbbed with a burning pain, and my right hand ached so much from overuse that I couldn't straighten it for a long time. The sinister energy in this room was too strong. If it weren't for the specially made steel needles given to me by the temple master, I wouldn't have been able to destroy those key runes. The core of the array. I looked up at the huge crystal chandelier on the ceiling, my expression complex. Chloe's most important skull was hidden there, the heart of the entire ritual. Only one left. The master at the temple had said I had to completely destroy this evil soul-swapping array to be truly safe. The reason I dared to do all this so boldly in the room was because I knew my adoptive mother would immediately leave. After lighting that special incense, she wouldn't stay a moment longer. That stuff had extremely heavy negative energy and severely drained one's life force. No one dared to stay in this room for long before it burned out. Otherwise, the three of them wouldn't be wearing those so-called multi-million-dollar protective jade amulets around their necks day and night. They chose to target me, their adopted daughter, not just because I was an orphan with a special birth chart fitting the requirements for soul swapping. More importantly, I was also a Henry. Chloe and I actually had an unbreakable blood tie. My biological father was Chloe's uncle, my adoptive father's older brother. He was a true business genius. But sadly, he died young, before he reached 40. And my mother had all her assets seized by Chloe's parents. They even used their influence to drive my mother to a dead end. Later, after giving birth to me, she could only secretly leave me at the Henry family's doorstep, hoping to give me a chance to live. But to prevent me from getting even a tiny share of the assets, immediately sent me to an orphanage. It wasn't until Chloe got seriously ill, diagnosed with bone cancer, with no medical cure, that they spent a fortune to hire some charlatan master from who knows where, obtaining an evil method for soul swapping and life extension. Only then did they meticulously set this trap, hypocritically bringing me home from the orphanage, making me feel deeply grateful to them, willingly jumping into this death trap. That I could be reborn with my memories this life was also because of what my biological father had sought. My father was a director of the Henry Group in his lifetime. In his short life, he developed the Henry Group exceptionally well and did countless charitable deeds, accumulating immense good karma. After his death, he voluntarily gave up reincarnation, promising to serve the underworld for 100 years without compensation, in exchange for a chance for me, a soul who died unjustly and whose fate was defied, to be reborn. The people from the underworld told me the whole truth. In the final moments before my soul was about to dissipate, I put all the human bones into the bag, hid it behind the curtain, then took a shower. Before snuggling back into bed, my body slowly warmed up. I set my alarm and quickly fell asleep. This was the first time since my rebirth that I had slept so peacefully. The next day, I applied a thin layer of waterproof foundation to make my face look paler. Today, I had to find an opportunity to dispose of the things under the bed, so I didn't want to risk my adoptive mother entering my room. This time, the doll looked like a real doll, its eyes vacant, its sharp teeth gone. I carried her out of the room. The three of them were having breakfast. "Lily, you're up. Why didn't you sleep in a bit longer?" "Mom, I was thirsty. I couldn't fall back asleep after waking up." My adoptive mother casually took the doll. "You sit down and eat breakfast. I'll go change baby's clothes." My adoptive father poured me a glass of water and handed it to me. I smiled sweetly. "Thanks, Dad. Your mother knows you like this doll, so dressing her up is her way of trying to make you happier." I nodded, smiling obediently. I know. Besides, what girl doesn't like pretty things?" After saying that, my heart skipped a beat. Truly a cunning old fox. Just for staring at my adoptive mother's back for a few extra seconds as she went upstairs, she started explaining. I lowered my head and ate breakfast slowly, looking like I had no appetite. When my adoptive mother came downstairs and saw me like this, she didn't scold me. Instead, she asked the auntie to make a few more dishes I liked, and comforted me, saying it was okay to eat a little more. I thanked her outwardly, but sneered inwardly. Of course it's okay. Eat more so you can be a better blood bag for her daughter. Eat well, sleep soundly, body weak, so the negative energy can invade more easily, and the soul can become unstable faster. Back in my room, I was in a dilemma. Looking at the slingshot I had ordered, I hesitated whether to return it. Although in my previous life they hardly ever entered my room. Usually only my adoptive mother would come in the morning. What if? And I couldn't guarantee I could accurately shatter the skull in the crystal chandelier. After all, the ceiling was a bit high. Just as I was thinking, I heard my adoptive father, Mr. Henry, leaving for work downstairs. Opportunity knocked. I immediately picked up the black trash bag and threw it into a dense thicket of flowers outside the window. That spot was a surveillance blind spot. Then I hid a small hammer in my sleeve and quickly walked downstairs. "Lily, what are you doing?" Chris suddenly appeared behind me. "What mischief are you up to, sneaking around like that?" He looked at me suspiciously. Then his gaze fell on the flower bed, and his face changed drastically. "You touched Chloe's roses?" He questioned me, his voice laced with anger. I stumbled and sat on the ground. "Chris, you walk so silently. You scared me to death." A flicker of disgust crossed his eyes, but he still reached out and helped me up. "What's this pile of black stuff for?" I picked up the small shovel and continued mixing. I dug out the surrounding soil and added lime powder and several other fertilizers. It not only prevents pests, but also makes Sister's favorite roses bloom even better. His expression softened a bit. "Sorry, Lily. I was just anxious for a moment. After all, Chloe used to love sitting in the pavilion and looking at these flowers." I nodded calmly, then quickly filled the soil back in. Luckily, he came back late. "Chris, why aren't you at the company? Why did you suddenly come home?" "Dad forgot a file." My meeting place happened to be close to home. The sound of several children playing and laughing came from nearby. Chris couldn't help but complain. These kids are so annoying on vacation. Always running around. Yesterday, they were mischievous and threw a stone, hitting Mrs. Wendy's dog. Throwing stones. I subconsciously looked up at the surveillance camera above the courtyard gate, the one directly facing the main villa building. My eyes instantly lit up. Yes. Now. I didn't have to return that slingshot. Mom, a few crystals on the chandelier in my room got broken. That afternoon, I hurried downstairs, holding a few shattered crystal beads. Hearing this news, my adoptive mother's face instantly turned deathly pale. She gripped my wrist tightly. I bit back the pain and didn't cry out. Quick, take me up there. Seeing her flustered, she hastily took out her phone, about to call my adoptive father. I quickly spoke up to stop her. Mom, it's just a few of the small pendants underneath that broke. The upper part is fine. Only then did my adoptive mother take a closer look. She clutched her chest and sighed in relief. But Mom, I've already sent a picture and contacted a technician to see if it can be repaired. Although it's fine to turn on the lights now. What if the top part was hit? Hearing me say this, she became anxious again. Quickly call him to come over. Before long, 2 technicians in work clothes arrived. My adoptive mother repeatedly warned them to be extremely careful, to handle it with the utmost care. Just as the technicians were about to remove the crystal chandelier for inspection, my adoptive mother turned her head and saw me still standing there. She immediately frowned. Lily, go downstairs and make some tea. I'll watch them make the exchange. I'll pay them later. Okay. Back in the living room, I transferred $100,000 to the 2 people who came to replace the light. They weren't just technicians. They were professional masters I had contacted through another master. Soon, one of the masters sent me a message. Done. The core item has been replaced. As you said, the appearance has been restored. Guaranteed no one can tell. Your adoptive mother is quite generous. Insisted on giving us a $660,000 red envelope. Said it was for good luck and to pray for smooth sailing. Then another master sent a voice message. His voice very low. Young lady, a word of warning. From now on, try not to let that evil doll sleep on that willowwood bed. That bed isn't just heavy with sinister energy. More importantly, that willowwood was soaked in the blood of those who died unjustly. For 49 days to make it. It's extremely malevolent. After listening to the voice message, my heart pounded wildly. My palms were icy cold. I clutched the small box containing the real bones in my pocket. After seeing them off, coming back, I heard the children's joyful laughter again. I silently apologized in my heart. The children would have to take the blame for me. My adoptive mother sat on the sofa, looking at me with dissatisfaction, still cradling that doll. How did the light break? All of a sudden? Did you open all the floor-to-ceiling windows? I lowered my head, choking with guilt. I'm sorry, Mom. I just felt the room was a bit damp and was worried the doll's bed would get moldy from the moisture, so I opened them all to air it out. I was only away from the balcony for a moment. Who knew? She scowled. Baby won't get moldy. Don't open them so wide in the future. Just leave a crack. And have you ever thought, what if the light really fell? Do you know how dangerous that is? Dangerous for her baby, right? Okay, I won't open them so much anymore. I lowered my head and admitted my mistake quietly. She took out a tissue and gently wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes. All right, Mom didn't mean to blame you. I'm just too worried about your safety. That night, I vaguely heard my adoptive parents and brother discussing this matter in the study. Mom, it's quite normal. Kids are mischievous. Not long ago, some kids even threw stones at a dog. My adoptive father also chimed in. Indeed, it should just be an accident. Besides, you checked inside and it's fine. Let's just wait patiently. I quietly carried the doll back to my room. After returning to my room, I felt that the thing in my arms was acting abnormally. She gently rolled her eyes, as if sensing something. Then her eyes slowly filled with despair. Now she probably wouldn't be walking around at night to suck my blood anymore. I casually tossed the doll on the floor. She wasn't even pretending anymore, just staring at me with those hollow eyes. I glared back defiantly. Look all you want. Take a good look. Soon you won't be able to see anything anymore. The next morning, I offered to bathe the doll. My adoptive mother, who was combing the doll's hair, paused for a moment, then smiled and agreed. In the bathroom, the doll, lying in the baby bathtub, saw me walk in. The faint spark of life that had just appeared in its eyes instantly vanished. Come on, Lily, you watch me wash her. Remember, the water can't go over her neck, and her hair must be washed with the special shampoo I bought. As she bent down to rinse the foam from the doll, the red string of the jade amulet around her neck became visible with her movement. Mom, that jade on your neck is so beautiful. She rinsed the foam from her hands and tucked the red string back in. Do you like it? Mom will get you a better one another day. No, it's fine. I was just a bit curious. Can you wear it while bathing? Won't it damage the jade? A smile tugged at the corner of my adoptive mother's lips. I knew it was a smile of ridicule and disdain. Silly child, water can nourish jade. How could it possibly get damaged? So, she wouldn't even take it off when bathing. At night, I couldn't sleep, so I picked up the doll from the floor and put it in the basin I used for changing the incense. I soaked it completely for several hours, then used a hot hairdryer to dry it. The doll's gaze shifted from resentment to fear. I pouted, pretending not to see. What on earth could I do? To steal the jade amulets they now never took off? Switch to an alkaline body wash? I shook my head. Impossible. Not to mention I couldn't get into their rooms. They lived on the 3rd floor, and the hallway had 2 surveillance cameras. More importantly, if they discovered the jade was damaged, they would likely suspect me, and would definitely seek help from that person abroad again. It was safer to secretly swap them, so they wouldn't notice. I gave the drawn design to the master, asking him to help find someone to make identical, but ineffective jade amulets. The jade amulets worn by the 3 of them nourished the soul within the doll day and night, like a protective shield that made her immortal. So, I couldn't fundamentally harm Chloe right now. Physical damage would only hurt her for a while, but she could recover as long as she had the jade amulet. I ran my fingers through my hair in frustration. The things in the small wooden box couldn't be used yet. I couldn't think of a solution for now. For the time being, I could only follow the trajectory of my previous life. Over the next few days, I ate less and less. My face and lips gradually turned pale, and I lost a couple of pounds. But it was much better than becoming skin and bones like in my last life. I slept for longer periods, but there were often dark circles under my eyes, and I looked much more lethargic. Occasionally, when chatting with them, I would experience memory lapses, and their family smiled even more happily. Their meticulous daily greetings turned into perfunctory indifference. This day, I spoke weakly. Dad, Mom, can you take me to the hospital? I always feel a bit unwell, like I have no energy. They ignored me. I felt a little scared, my hand holding the cup trembling slightly. Please, Mom, Dad. Chris impatiently slammed his chopsticks down. Only then did my adoptive father speak. Haven't you always been in good health? My adoptive mother sipped her soup and leisurely persuaded me. Yes, Lily dear. You just need to recuperate for a while. I'll find a caregiver to look after you. She seemed quite anxious. Perhaps she already felt that the matter was settled, and whether I was obedient or not no longer mattered. But staying cooped up with me for a month without going out had really frustrated her. Previously, her favorite thing was to go out shopping and to beauty salons with those wealthy socialites. Because of my bad mood, the doll was soaked in water more often. 2 days later, the caregiver arrived. Her attitude was arrogant. So you're Lily, huh? She folded her arms and looked me up and down. You are pretty thin, but we need to be scientific. After adjusting your diet, you can only eat vegetarian food for now. The master and mistress said you don't need to come downstairs anymore. I'll bring your meals up to you. It was just like in my previous life. At first, she made some effort to be perfunctory, but later, when she realized my adoptive parents didn't care about me at all, she became completely unrestrained. When I couldn't go downstairs, she would chop up a few lettuce leaves and bring them up. If I didn't eat, she would pinch my arms and legs, venting her own emotions. This person was just purely malicious. Later, it got even worse. She only let me drink water. I now suspect I fainted from hunger. Extremely weak. Which is how Chloe managed to replace me. Then I'll trouble you, Auntie. I lowered my head, looking submissive. My adoptive mother generously invited her own younger aunt to be a caregiver. Who knew she had sticky fingers? In my previous life, she was kicked out only after stealing jewelry from Chloe and the doll. However, she didn't know the dirty details of the Henry family's soul-swapping and life-extending practices. My adoptive parents weren't home today. She touched this and that, her gaze wandering. But when she saw the doll on the sofa, she didn't dare touch it. My adoptive mother must have already instructed her. But she could freely enter the rooms of my adoptive parents and Chris. I watched her diligently changing their bedsheets and mopping the floor, a smile playing on my lips. Originally, I wanted to bring this person back for a bit of revenge. But now I had a better idea. At night, I took the key and went to Chloe's room, locking up all the jewelry on her desk. The next day, when she brought food to my room, I placed the tablet on the table. Auntie, I just spilled some water on the table. Could you please help me wipe it? She impatiently grabbed a few tissues and walked over. And on the tablet, a picture of a jade amulet was casually displayed. The price on it made her hand tremble. The greed and delight in her eyes were completely unconcealable. She smiled and walked over. Lily, honey, the jade pendants your parents and brother wear are so beautiful. Why don't you have anything around your neck? My expression dimmed slightly, a bitter smile on my lips. Only family members can wear those. Mom, Dad, and my brother never take them off. But Auntie, you might not know. I'm just their adopted daughter. As I spoke, my eyes became vacant. I just wanted to find someone to make a replica to wear secretly. That way, I'd feel like we were a family. Seeing this, she picked up the tray and poked my forehead hard with her finger a few times. You dim-witted fool. They treat you like a burden. They wouldn't even mention you. She took several pictures with her phone. After she left, I deleted the photoshopped picture. Young master, new business has arrived. For the next few days, you just stay outside the villa like this. Now this caregiver was the one lighting the incense for me. Why do you have to light this every night? And insist on having so many lights on? With a doll for company. You're so fussy. Auntie, you don't know the benefits of this calming incense. After lighting it, even if it's thundering and raining outside, you can't hear a thing. Sometimes I sleep so soundly, I can't even wake up. It's very good for sleep. Is it really that good? Really? Mom custom ordered this at a high price. Her eyes darted around shiftily. Lily, why don't you give me a couple? I feel like my sleep hasn't been too good lately either. But don't tell the mistress, okay? She's a bit stingy and doesn't let me touch anything in your room. It seemed like a question, but she had already taken 2 new ones from the cabinet. I frowned in feigned distress. Of course you can. I still have more than 10, but Mom has counted them all. If you don't light them for 2 nights, it should be fine. It's settled then. She tucked the incense into her pocket and left, and the doll looked at me with increasing fear. I smiled and continued to toss it on the floor. The willowwood bed can nourish you, so I won't let you sleep at night. The jade amulets can protect you, so I'll replace them all. It's done. Your auntie is quite rich, huh? Took the initiative to make an offer. Contact me when you get the real ones. It wasn't long before I received a message from the master. Sure enough, after a few days, the caregiver was beaming, and her attitude towards me had improved somewhat. Lily, Auntie, wants to ask you, are those surveillance cameras on the 3rd floor always on? I nodded. Of course. Mom and Dad just had them installed recently. They said it's to prevent thieves. But clearly the security in this villa is already very good. I don't understand either. Her face immediately fell. But occasionally there are power outages. Where's the circuit breaker then? I looked at her doubtfully. Auntie, why are you asking that? She lied smoothly. Well, rich families naturally have to pay attention to these things. Auntie knows how to fix circuits. If it happens, won't I be able to earn a little extra money? Okay then, Auntie, I'll tell you. But can you give me some meat tomorrow? No problem. In the middle of the night, the lights in the room suddenly went out. I quietly went out and watched the dark figure enter the rooms of my adoptive parents and brother. What she didn't know was that her room had also been filled with incense by me. After the successful swap, I finally sent them away. A week passed, and my adoptive parents were still acting as usual. not noticing anything abnormal. And my condition worsened. The caregiver often said I could sleep almost all day. To be honest, it was quite unbearable. To keep up the act, I could only eat one meal a day and lay in bed, almost sick of looking at my phone. The incense was almost used up. It was time to begin. That evening, my adoptive mother, as usual, brought the doll into my room early, instructing the caregiver to light the incense properly, not missing a single day. After all, these few days were crucial, and I took out the small box. Inside, 2 thin red needles gleamed. I could almost hear the wails coming from within the doll. Seeing me staring at our family photo, she smiled and said, "Let it go. Cousin, oh cousin. So you can see too? Why are you so cruel? Burning fire, seeping into the marrow, the soul. Do you know how painful that is?" I was kind-hearted. I only pierced his 2 eyes with the needles. The rest would be done by my adoptive parents themselves. The next day, my adoptive mother came over with a pair of scissors. Their eyes were red, looking at me in disbelief. The smile that appeared. "Mom. Chloe, is that you?" I threw my arms around her, nuzzling her cheek affectionately. Because I had once genuinely considered Chloe my sister, I was very familiar with her little mannerisms. She burst into tears. "You're finally back." They cut the doll's body to pieces and burned it in a fire. "Baby, Mom and Dad will take you to a new house. It has the ocean view you like. This place is bad luck." "Good. I hate this person who looks like me. Why does she get to be so healthy?" Of course, things didn't succeed. The soul swapping failed. The backlash from the dark magic soon manifested in the 3 members of the Henry family. My adoptive father and mother's bodies gradually showed abnormalities. Their hair started falling out in large clumps, and minor ailments became more frequent. Chris began to lose control, becoming easily agitated and irritable, unable to focus on work, relying on his father to clean up his messes. And my adoptive father also started having me groomed. I looked out the window, laughing out loud. In the years to come, I would definitely play the role of Chloe well, letting them get used to the real me through long-term interaction, and then slowly take control of the Henry family's affairs. I was very much looking forward to the day they learned the truth. The end.